Welcome to Education Update. I'm Rafael P. Roman. Elementary school is the first chapter of our children's education, where they learn their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, skills they will use for the rest of their lives. But how and when children learn these skills depends on which state they live in. Now, for the first time, students in over 40 states will learn from the same set of expectations, the new Common Core state standards for English and math. In this episode, we'll take a look at what can be learned from teachers at 2 elementary schools in New York City who have already begun working with the Common Core standards as part of a pilot program here.
I have a problem today.
It's time for math in Liz Bradstreet's kindergarten class at PS 124 in Brooklyn, New York.
Jan needs 12 buttons for the dress. First, Jan finds 4 buttons. Next, Jan finds 2 buttons. Last, Jan finds 6 buttons. Can Jan make the dress? Is my answer going to be a number? No. What's it going to be, Mia?
Yes or no?
Yes or
Can
no?
Jan make the dress?
Can Jan make the dress?
The kindergarten, first, and second grade teachers at PS 124 have started to work with the new Common Core state standards for mathematics. They're using new problem-solving tasks like this one that are aligned with the Common Core.
We're introducing them to math concepts where they have to share their thinking and delve a little bit deeper into the math. We're promoting communication with math, both written and oral, and we're enjoying it.
The kindergartners must not only solve this word problem, they must also show their thinking by using either a table or a diagram.
What did you make, what? A table, good. And how many buttons did she have altogether? 12. So could she make the dress? Yes, she was able to. Before, we would give them the problem and have them go find the answer. But you never knew if they were copying from somebody or if they could just solve the problem, but not understanding why they got there or the steps that they had to take to get there. Now they're actually having to explain it. So what did you have to do to find 12? How'd you count?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Very good. And it's given a great opportunity for the kids who are a little bit higher level to be able to expand their learning. And for the struggling learners, you can see exactly where they're struggling.
We've noticed that sometimes the children need a little bit more time to spend on one concept and to delve a little deeper so that they internalize it. And sometimes they move a little bit too fast and some children are left behind.
This is exactly the problem the standards writers aim to solve by making them more focused.
Focus means doing fewer things at any given grade so that students have more time to internalize, practice, and learn what is being done in that grade.
In the elementary grades, the writers have focused the standards into main concepts called domains. They start in kindergarten with counting and cardinality, operations and algebraic thinking, number and operations in base 10, measurement and data, and geometry. 4 of these domains continue all the way through 5th grade, with a fractions domain added in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. The sequences of domains across grades are called progressions, coherent sets of skills that progress and become more sophisticated with each grade. The writers say the standards for kindergarten through 2nd grade are meant to emphasize a mastery of addition and subtraction. 3rd through 5th grades, a mastery of multiplication and division. Also included are standards for mathematical practice that appear at the top of each chapter. They are college and career readiness skills that teachers should strive to develop in their students.
The careers and that we're preparing kids for requires them to really have a solid base, especially at this very young age. We also want them to love math, and I think that the way that the teachers are learning to teach math now and introduce these concepts to kids is helping the kids to love math a little bit more.
Glenn is buying a hot dog. The hot dog costs 75 cents.
Solving word problems involving money appears in the 2nd grade standards for measurement and data.
Show 3 different ways Glenn can pay for the hot dog.
Teacher Teresa Manti says at first she was worried about having to take on a whole new set of standards. But now that she's gotten to know the Common Core, she likes it.
Doing the problem solving and the Common Core seems to put it back into practical usage of math. Now I always say to the kids, it's like playing, just solving puzzles, and that one thing connects to something else. And I like the way it makes them think, that math shouldn't be an intimidating thing.
Manti students are learning that in the real world, math problems have multiple answers and multiple ways to solve them.
0 quarters, 6 dimes, 3 nickels, and 0 pennies.
So that's your third way.
It seems to hit the kids more on their level across the board, where before I felt that maybe sometimes things were a little out of their realm of experiences.
The standards are clear on the what, but leave the job of how up to schools and teachers. Figuring that out will be a big job before the new state assessments roll out in 2014. New York State is a governing member of one of the consortia designing the new tests, and teachers at PS 124 are providing feedback through the pilot on how their students are doing with the new performance tasks that ask them to show their work and explain their thinking.
This child decided she wanted to do a table. And she has the numbers correct and the answers are correct. But this table doesn't tell me how she got her answer.
Principal Annabelle Martinez says she loves that her teachers are on the forefront of designing these new assessments. But she still has concerns about how fast schools and teachers are expected to prepare.
People are at different learning curves, and so you need to give them time to be able to understand, learn it really well, and then be able to implement it in their classrooms.
We can't rush that process.
Angela O'Dowd is the principal of PS 62, an elementary school with about 1,000 students in Queens, New York. Her teachers have started to work with the new Common Core state standards for English language arts and literacy.
So this morning we're going to be doing some work together, all right, based on our author study of Chris Van Allsburg. And to think about not just his characters in the story, but thinking about them beyond the story. Because
today, 4th grade teacher Kim Molino is trying out a new task she designed with other teachers at PS 62, which asks the kids to make observations and inferences about the characters in their books and then impersonate them in their very own talk show.
what you want to try to do is make sure that you actually have some evidence to base that on.
So when you were walking back, were you scared to tell my sister that you didn't have friends? Yes, because my heart was pounding and I didn't know how she would take the news.
So that's good that you're really using the text to help you to get organized with your ideas. It really gives them the opportunity to kind of use the evidence, but make those inferences that we're trying to, really help them to do, to really think about the text beyond just what's on the page.
Responding to text is a central focus of the Common Core State Standards for English Language Arts and Literacy. Each section begins with college and career readiness anchor standards, broad expectations of what kids should know and be able to do. The anchor standards remain the same throughout all grades and correspond one-to-one with the content standards in each strand. The K-5 strands include reading, writing, language, and speaking and listening, which requires kids to engage in collaborative discussions and pose and answer questions.
Now give it up for the bold and the brave Minna Shaw. Did you ever regret making your neighbors go away and why?
No, I didn't regret it because they were always not minding their business, and I already had a friend who was helping me, so I wasn't really lonely.
Alina takes notes on how the kids do with a task, which she'll share later with her colleagues.
Tune in next time for the next episode of the Chris Van Allsburg Show.
Bye and have a great day.
The Common Core contains reading standards not just for literature, but also for informational text, which should account for about half of all reading by 4th grade. The writers say this is key for preparing students for the type of reading they'll need to do later in life.
I think we're doing the most important work. I mean, you might think of career and college readiness being heavily impacted at the high school level, but think about it, the foundations are kindergarten to 2nd grade.
These foundations are especially important for PS 62's English language learners. There are students here from over 20 countries, including India, Bangladesh, and the Dominican Republic.
I want you to take a good look at this picture, okay? Get a good question in your head.
The standards don't contain a special section for these children, but ESL teacher Dalia Delgavi thinks they give her the room to support the kids in the ways they need.
The standards are for everyone, but with an English language learner, they're expected to work at the same pace as everyone else. So what I do is scaffold for them or kind of support them in getting to that.
Why ants go on the trees?
Why do the ants walk on the tree?
Because their home is on the tree.
Okay.
Today's lesson involves the speaking and listening and the language standards, which call for using correct grammar and vocabulary, working collaboratively, and asking good questions.
Which color is it?
Brown.
Brown. This is brown.
No, that's not brown, that's black.
Questioning like this, finding out important information is going to help them wherever they go in their life and their career.
I was telling you that.
Excellent questions, boys and girls.
The Common Core standards weave the use of technology into almost every strand. It's something Principal O'Dowd has also tried to weave into all instruction at PS 62, including the instruction of her teachers.
Well, we're ready to ask the question, what does a Common Core classroom look like?
Today, at their regular meeting, teachers are challenged to identify which Common Core standards are being used by their colleagues whose classes were filmed on a flip cam.
So boys and girls, we're going to read this story today to make some predictions. What does Timothy Pope think he sees?
A shark.
Why?
Who are those people? Notice the language, notice the words that I'm using. What do you think these two pictures have in common? And oh my goodness, is that another W word? WH word? What? Do you agree? Can we put that up here?
Yes.
I want us to look at poetry and see if we can make some really good inferences while we read.
Most of the teachers identify this instruction as following the first anchor standard for reading, which requires students to read text closely, make inferences, and cite textual evidence.
In the first video, there was clear prompting and she was asking the kids to come up with their own evidence. Then when we went on to second grade, she actually had the who, the what, the where, the when, why, which is stated in the standard. And we could actually see how that grew and changed when we went to fifth grade, where there was much more inferencing and the kids were actually using the evidence in the text to support.
One of the things that struck me was how the complexity of the text really varied from the picture book, minimal text, repetitive text, clear pictures, through to the more factual but just denser, some vocabulary that they didn't know, through to that much more abstract piece of writing the poem at the end.
I really liked that we did use videos in this, because I know back in July when I first started, I thought this was a big scary thing. And even though honestly, and then I've been doing this for months and it's become less scary.
Making these changes less scary, especially for schools that have not yet begun working with the Common Core, is a key goal for Ben Grossman, a Common Core specialist with the New York City schools.
They don't know what to expect. They don't know what it means. There's still some anxiety because they've raised the bar.
But Grossman says schools should know that adopting the Common Core doesn't mean having to start all over again.
I mean, one of the things that I'm careful to say, and it's true, I don't make this up, that 90% of what they're asking for is already happening in classrooms. So they've given us an opportunity to look carefully at what's happening in classrooms. And a framework for how to think about that in an intentional way. I think some teachers have a hard time with that, and some teachers aren't interested in that, and some principals aren't interested in that. So it's partly my job to be a bit of a salesman.
The principals and teachers at PS 62 and PS 124 don't need any convincing about the Common Core. But they say what they do need is plenty of time, money, and support in the coming years to ensure implementation is successful. Principal Martinez's advice to teachers and principals across the country: take the time to understand the new standards and involve parents in the process, because in the end, she believes, it will all be worth it.
I think the Common Core standard is like a unifying theme for the whole country. And I think it's going to bring teachers even across districts and across schools together. Everybody, this is it.